A pathway collage is a personalized multi-pathway diagram that contains a small set of pathways that you have selected. The diagram can be manipulated and customized in various ways, can be used to display omics data, and can be exported as a high-quality image for use in publications and presentations. This webinar will show you how to create and manipulate your own pathway collages through the BioPsych website. From any BioPsych page, the Pathway Collages item in the Metabolism menu provides instructions for generating a pathway collage. This page contains an alphabetical checklist of all the pathways in the selected organism. So you can choose which pathways to include in a collage directly from this page. Check the pathways that you are interested in. And then click Generate Pathway Collage. The collage will appear in a new tab. We will come back to this application in a moment with a different set of pathways, so for now I'm going to close this tab. Today, I'm going to show you how to generate a pathway collage from a smart table. Here I have created a smart table containing 5 pathways that I think are relevant to the biological system I'm interested in. I will click on Export, and then Export Pathways to Pathway Collage. A new tab will open to the Pathway Collage Navigator, and there will be a short delay as it generates the requested pathway collage. The Pathway Collage Navigator is a web application that runs locally in your web browser. Once the collage has been downloaded, most further interactions occur directly in your browser. Here you see the initial collage containing all the requested pathways. The controls on the left allow me to zoom in and out, or pan. I can also zoom using the scrolling gesture on my mouse wheel or trackpad, and pan by clicking the background and dragging it. Note that at low zoom levels, the labels disappear, but I can mouse over a node, a metabolite node, or a reaction edge to see more information. Initially, the pathways are placed on the diagram without reference to their biological connections. I can move pathways to create a more logical arrangement by clicking on the background box and dragging. I can move individual nodes the same way. Or I can select multiple nodes using Shift-click and move them together as a group. Typically, I will want to show how these pathways connect to each other via shared metabolites. There are 2 ways to do this. The first is by drawing a connecting edge from a metabolite node to all other nodes for the same metabolite. If I right-click on a node and select Show Connections, an edge is created from the hydrogen carbonate in this pathway to the hydrogen carbonate in this other pathway. I can also show all connections with a single operation by going to the View menu and selecting Show All Connections. The Hide All Connections command hides them again. In some cases, not all instances of a metabolite will be initially visible because they represent hidden side compounds. In order to draw the connections, I must first make them visible. If I right-click on a node and see the command Add Omitted Side Nodes for this compound in the menu, it means there are one or more reactions that have this compound as a hidden reaction or product. By selecting this command, I can make them visible. I can then show the connections by selecting Show Connections. I can also show selected side compounds for a particular reaction directly. If I mouse over a reaction edge, the full reaction equation is included in the tooltip. When I right-click on the edge and select the command Add Reaction Side Compound, I can choose which side compounds to display. The second option for linking pathways via shared metabolites is to actually merge the nodes for the shared metabolites. If I right-click on a metabolite and select the Merge command, the node I clicked on will be highlighted in gray, and all other nodes for glutamate will be highlighted in red. When I select one of these, the two nodes are merged, with the node I clicked on originally being deleted. I can do this as many times as I want. Pathway collages can be overlaid with omics data, such as gene expression data, metabolomics data, proteomics data, or reaction flux data. From the File menu, use the command Add or Replace Omics Data. The file format and other options are the same as for overlaying omics data on the cellular overview, and is covered in detail in the Cellular Omics Viewer webinar and our documentation, so I'm not going to repeat that information here. The file I'm uploading is a multi-time point gene expression experiment. So I will specify that the items in the first column are genes and the data columns that I am interested in. Because the data values in the file are log ratios, I'm using a zero-centered scale, and I will use the default color scheme. Because the data must be uploaded to the BioPsych server for processing, it might take a minute or so before the results appear. You can see that the enzyme names have been replaced so that we now show just the gene names and colored boxes that correspond to the gene expression values for that gene at each time point. The key indicates the range of data values that correspond to each color. We can toggle the display of omics data on and off using this checkbox in the View menu. Note that if you had used the Omics viewer on the Biopsych website shortly before generating the pathway collage, the pathway collage would have come preloaded with that Omics data, and you would just have to have checked this box in order to view it. In addition to moving nodes around, pathway collages can be edited in various ways. Any nodes or edges can be highlighted in a color I choose, and I can edit the text of any node. I can apply both highlights and text edits by right-clicking on a node and selecting Highlight/Edit. By default, the highlight color is red, but I can change it to anything I want. Because there are multiple nodes for this compound, I can choose whether or not this operation applies to all of them. I can also edit the label text. And again, say whether or not these changes should apply to all nodes for aspartate. I can select multiple metabolites or reactions at once for highlighting. For example, if I right-click on a pathway background box and select Highlight or /Edit, I can choose whether I want to highlight all nodes, all edges, or both. Or I can hold down the Shift key and select multiple nodes, and then use the Highlight Selected command in the View menu to highlight all the selected nodes at once. I can use the Show Highlights checkbox in the View menu to toggle highlighting on or off on a global basis. I can delete any nodes or edges from my diagram. For example, the reaction of hydrogen carbonate to form carbamyl phosphate appears twice in two different pathways, so I want to delete one of them. I can do it either by selecting Delete from the right-click menu for each node individually, or I can undo those deletions and use Shift Select to select all the nodes I wish to delete, and delete them all at once from the Edit menu. I can also add pathways to a pathway collage. Right-click on any metabolite and select Add Pathways containing this compound. A menu will pop up containing all the pathways that involve cysteine. These are live links back to Biopsych, by the way, so I can look at a pathway before I decide whether or not I want to select it. I can select as many of these as I want, but for now I'm only going to add one cysteine biosynthesis pathway. The Navigator will zoom out to show the entire collage, including the new pathways. New pathways are always added at the bottom, but I can, of course, move them to wherever I want. To customize the overall look of your pathway collage, see the Customize Global Properties command in the View menu. For example, you can change the color of all the metabolite labels or icons. You can change the icon shape. And you can change the icon shading. You can also change the border width. You can turn the display of enzyme and gene labels on or off. And you can change their color or font size. In the Pathways tab, you can turn off the display of pathway background boxes. Note that when pathway background boxes are off, you cannot select and move an entire pathway at once, because there is no pathway box to grab. However, if you hold down the Control or Shift key while left-clicking on the background, you can do a bounding box select. And move or otherwise operate on the selected nodes or edges. You can also turn pathway labels on or off, and change their color and font size. For edges, you can adjust their color and thickness. You can set different styles for normal reactions, for reactions that are missing enzymes, and for the connections edges that connect different nodes for the same metabolite. Finally, you can change the background color and decide whether or not the background color should be included as part of any exported image. At any time, you can save the pathway collage to a file by going to the File menu and selecting Save Collage to File. This command downloads the collage as a file on your own computer. No collages are stored on the Biopsych website other than our own example collages. Different browsers handle the downloaded file differently. Most versions of Firefox will ask you where you would like to save it. Chrome automatically stores the file in your Downloads directory. Note that the generated file is not an image file and is not meant to be human readable. The only way it can be used is by reading it back into the Pathway Collage Navigator using the Load Collage from File command. Once you have finished making changes to your collage, you will likely want to export it as an image. Currently, the only image export format we support is PNG, which is a bitmap format, not a vector format. The command file export to PNG outputs the entire collage to an image file, not just the part that is visible on the screen, at the displayed resolution, up to some maximum that depends on the collage size. Therefore, in order to generate highest resolution images, we recommend that you first zoom in on the diagram before exporting to a PNG file. This concludes the Pathway Collages tutorial. Further information can be found in the help document included in the application.